Hey guys, this is Brandon McGee at the McGee Law Firm, and today we're going to be doing another interview with the experts. And I think this is one that you guys are really going to enjoy, get a lot out of. I get asked about annuities a lot, and a lot of people ask me my opinion on annuities. And generally, what I tell people is I'm not a financial planner, I'm not a financial advisor, and so you should probably get your opinion elsewhere. So that's why we brought in Mike Scoma today. And Mike is a longtime financial planner with Edward Jones here in the DFW area. So welcome, Mike.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So the question is to annuitize or not to annuitize. But before we get to that, the answer to that and the explanation behind your answers, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, how long you've been in the business, those kind of things.
Sure. Thank you. I've been with the firm, Edward Jones Investments, which is a very conservative investment company that specializes in helping people retire and make all kinds of different financial goals, of course, achieve all kinds of financial goals. I've been with the firm for 28 years and seen a lot of ups and downs.
That's a long time.
It is a long time. Lots of ups and downs, and not only in the market, but really what I find equally interesting is how the different investment products have evolved and processes have evolved. And, so specifically, since we're visiting about annuities, to give a little history lesson, back in the late 90s when the market was booming, the insurance companies had these guaranteed step up for death benefits, and people would buy annuities based on that death benefit guaranteed for a surviving spouse. They could take risk of the market without risk of the spouse losing money.
Okay.
Then, of course, fast forward, and then you had the dot-com bubble bursting, and they created other new guarantees. So every time we've had a bad economy or something's just scary in general, the insurance companies always seem to come to the rescue.
Okay.
With another guarantee. So definitely annuities have evolved over time. So
okay. So let me just ask you this for some people watching this who don't really know, what exactly is an annuity? Can you kind of define that for us?
Sure. So an annuity, first of all, is with an insurance company. Insurance companies offer annuities. And when we think about insurance, that means there has to be insurance. There has to be some type of guarantee. The guarantee is either going to be, or both, a living benefit or a death benefit, or both. And of course, now, remember, every time anybody ever uses the word guarantee, that word is never for free. So if you add a guaranteed benefit, living benefit, and a guaranteed death benefit, and there's a mortality and expense charge, every time you add that guarantee, there's another cost associated with it. What you have to remember about those fees is the more the fees are, the lower the return can be. Okay. So not that it's wrong, it's just that we have to know what questions to ask about an annuity. So annuity also is a tax shelter.
So I'm very surprised to find out that the financial companies actually want to make money off the annuities. Is that what you're telling us?
You know what? You have to be very careful because annuities can get a bad rap because of maybe the way they're sold.
Okay.
So insurance companies, my wife and I are getting, now I'm at that age where I'm getting postcards to the free lunch.
Right.
And ironically, I can go to a really expensive free lunch right now, and I know they're selling an annuity.
Okay.
And it wouldn't surprise me if they wouldn't recommend that I put all of my money in that annuity so they can earn a bigger commission.
Okay. So
they are commission-based products. They have to be careful of that.
Okay, let me ask you this. So if somebody asked me, hey, what's an annuity? And I were to say, well, I'm not a financial expert. And they said, I don't care. Just tell me what you think it is. I would say in a very basic way, I'm giving the financial company or the insurance company a certain amount of money. And in return, they're going to give me an amount of money. I get what, annually, right? Or monthly.
Sure, a monthly check.
They're going to give me a guaranteed monthly check.
Mm-hmm.
And if I die before they give me all their contractually owed money back, there's some remainder that's going to go to my beneficiaries. Is that pretty simply what it is?
So the answer is yes and potentially no. And there are different arrangements. What you were talking about is annuitizing an annuity. I deposit money in an annuity, and there's going to be a guaranteed monthly income or annual income back. They will pay that income, maybe more. It could sound like this. Hey, Brandon, if you deposit over $1 million, we're going to give you a large sum of money monthly and for the rest of your life and your spouse's life. But if you pass away, your family gets nothing, but we're going to give you a nice big check guaranteed for your life.
Okay.
Or we will lower that check down and say, we'll guarantee you this monthly check for a 15-year period certain.
Okay.
Or, so in other words, as you can see, there's a lot of
different options that you can
different
pick.
Structures.
Everybody's kind of hedging their bets on when you're going to die.
The insurance companies happen to know that with pretty great accuracy.
Okay. And then let's talk a little bit more about this. So you had mentioned earlier that people may get invited to hear a lecture or a seminar about annuities. And isn't there a difference in somebody's licensing and then the kind of annuities that they can sell? And we really need to be careful about that, right? Who we're dealing with annuities.
What a great question. And the answer is absolutely yes. So first of all, a person offered an annuity. Annuities can be fixed or variable.
Okay. That's very important, guys.
A variable annuity is going to be an annuity that has some type of mutual fund component internally, where there's the stock market. And if you're going to offer that type of variable annuity, you'll have to be either a Series 6 or a Series 7 license. You want to ask that question. What kind of licenses do you have? If they don't have the Series 6 or Series 7, they can only offer a fixed annuity. And when they only offer a fixed annuity, the type of advertising can even be different.
Okay.
Because if you have a Series 6 or Series 7 license and you're offering a variable annuity, you're under the regulation of the SEC. And you're going to follow the guidelines for advertising, what you can and can't say.
Okay.
So when you get the free lunch postcard, most likely that is going to be for a fixed annuity because the advertising and what they actually say in the seminar can be more liberal.
And I don't want to put words in your mouth or say something incorrect, but would it be accurate that if somebody can only sell a fixed annuity, they are an insurance salesman? If somebody can sell either a fixed or variable, they generally have a license to sell insurance as well as a financial advising type investment license.
It'd be like going to a fruit stand, that guy that had the best oranges in the world.
Okay.
And you can do nothing but wrong with his oranges. But really, if you want to go to the fruit stand that has oranges and bananas and kiwis, that's going to be the financial advisor. That way they can really listen to what your needs are, your concerns, your goals, and then build a properly balanced meal.
So would you say to our audience here, and again, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but if they are talking to somebody about an annuity and they find out that person does not have their investing licenses, cannot act as a financial advisor, they simply have a license to sell insurance, they might want to just stop the conversation because they're trying to get sold one product from one standpoint as opposed to somebody looking out for their kind of holistic wealth and best interest.
I would say so because I've seen some of those companies they would put 100% of your money in that.
Okay.
It's a bigger
because it benefits them.
That's right.
Okay.
And that's why, a couple of years ago, there was the big Department of Labor, the DOL rules and the ERISA that protects 401ks and IRAs. I actually wanted that to go through because it meant that all insurance companies, even if you were having these fixed annuities without the Series 6 or Series 7 license, they would have to follow stricter guidelines on their advertising, on fee disclosure,
Okay.
on putting someone's best interest before their own. And so, but that didn't happen, but our firm took it very seriously.
So, but let's talk too about, so we know we have fixed, we know we have variable,
Mhm.
we just established who can sell which. What is essentially the difference? I mean, a lot of people can be intuitive and figure it out, but just to spell it out, what's the difference between a fixed annuity and a variable annuity?
So a fixed annuity, it can act much like a CD or a bond. It can pay a fixed rate of interest, a 5-year fixed rate annuity at 2% or
Okay.
whatever the interest rates happen to be at that time. But there's also other kinds of fixed annuities. They might be indexed annuities. And where the language can get, or the verbiage can get confusing, is they might say, well, when the S&P 500 goes up, you'll capture some of the upside with this cap. But if the market goes down, you won't lose money. Technically, that it's sad that they're using S&P verbiage in there,
Okay.
but it's really a fixed annuity,
Okay.
and it's not a Series 6 or Series 7 license.
Okay.
So it's again a little confusing.
So let's talk about this. With an annuity, I hear about a surrender period. What is a surrender period with an annuity?
What you always have to realize or recognize is if you ever, again, hear the word guaranteed, that word is never for free. And a surrender period, imagine this, if you deposited $100,000 in an annuity and the firm earned a commission of 4 or 5%, I've even seen as high as 7. If you were to request your money back within a time frame, a surrender period, that insurance company is going to charge you a fee to exit. Well, it's because they paid a commission to the firm and they're just getting their money back.
What generally would you see as that fee? What's the percentage of the amount that you deposited, typically that would be the surrender fee?
I hate to say it, it's kind of all over the board.
Okay.
On the indexed annuities, which pay the highest commission, that's why they're really pushed.
Yeah.
I've seen those surrender charges be 10 and 15 years.
Okay.
Very long time.
Okay. 10 and 15 years worth of payouts?
No, 10 or 15 years worth of fees.
Fees. Okay.
If you ever needed your money back, they might say you can access 10% of the contract value or your initial deposit without a surrender charge. But if you ever really needed your money back, they're going to charge some very large fee to get it back for a long period of time.
Okay.
And it's because they paid the biggest commission to the person selling it.
Okay. And then generally with the surrender period, is it from the time that you enter into the contract, is it a certain period of time? And then once you cross a threshold, you can just never get your money back?
No, you're free to take your money at that point and go.
Okay. Got it. Okay. And then let's talk about this. So, you obviously over the last 28 years, you sat down with tons of different people, with families, with a lot of different financial situations, different assets, different goals. What percentage of people that you meet with, just ballpark, would you actually recommend that an annuity is a good idea? Is it high? Is it low?
Low for me,
Okay.
but I'm not a fan of them. Not that I've not offered them before in the past or recommended it, but usually when you're offering an annuity, a person has to be very fearful of the market.
Okay.
Or they have a certain income that they need and they want to make sure that that income is going to cover their utility bills. And so you're solving for some type of monthly check.
Okay.
So, but you have to be very careful on how much of your money you put into an annuity.
So let me ask this, and again, if I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong, but maybe would this be somebody who is definitely retired, definitely a senior, doesn't maybe have a lot of income. Maybe they have Social Security, and then maybe they have a house, and maybe this is even, let's say, a widow or a single person, who's advanced in age, they're retired, and they just want to make sure that come hell or high water, they need $700 a month. And so is that the kind of person, and they don't, anything else doesn't matter other than I need $700 a month to supplement what I have from Social Security so I can make ends meet. Is that the kind of person who would typically put their money in an annuity?
Actually, the answer to that is no.
Okay.
It could be
I'm wrong. I'm totally
well. That's okay.
I'm happy to.
You asked a good question, but let's say, for example, you take a 50-year-old that's going to retire in 15 years,
Okay.
and they're in a really high tax bracket. And as we grow money, I'm speaking specifically of a variable annuity with mutual funds, not a fixed annuity, because that might lean toward the older, retiree or somebody already retired. So let's say you're trying to grow money in a tax deferred shelter because you don't want to receive 1099 income to have to report each year on a particular, on say a mutual fund.
Right.
And so now all of a sudden, fast forward 15 years, and that person is now 65. They started when they were 50, and they've accumulated dollars in this annuity, and now they can make a decision. Do I want to annuitize? There's a lot of hybrid annuitizations. I don't want to get into that, too confusing, but do you want to just take your money out, take out a monthly check without any kind of guaranteed annuitization, for which you can? Always remember, though, when you're using non-qualified money, meaning money that you've already paid taxes on as your contribution, that has a basis.
Okay.
All of those earnings that you've achieved over a number of years that have not been taxed yet, that's called tax deferred.
Okay.
So when you pull money out of an annuity, you access that earnings first, the principal last.
Okay.
So a lot of times what we'll see is people will grow their money in an annuity, start accessing that dollar monthly. If they were just going to take regular distributions without annuitization, they might not ever get down to that original deposit.
Okay.
I call it, how many licks does it take to get to the center of the lollipop?
Right.
You might not ever get there.
Okay.
And but your family, one day when you pass away, now all of a sudden, when the family inherits an annuity, the earnings that are still within that contract, those are taxable. The basis is not. Now, if you annuitize an annuity, with every check, some of that check is the earnings and some of that monthly check is the principal.
Okay.
You see, so that could be a reason for annuitizing the annuity.
Okay.
But your question was, at what age should somebody get an annuity? I'd have a really hard time recommending it to a 25 or a 30-year-old.
Sure.
A 50-year-old maybe. Again, I'm not the biggest fan. I like to think, but I do like tax efficiency. So don't get me wrong. If it's a strategy, if somebody's in a real high tax bracket, it could be a good idea. I'm not saying it is. And then to an older person, maybe a fixed annuity is a good idea. Again, it's very subjective. It's very personal to the individual.
Let me ask you this, and there may not be a simple answer, but and this is getting a little bit off topic from annuities, but obviously the people who are watching this, in addition to wanting information about annuities, they just want to make sure they're making good decisions with their money. Mm-hmm. So I feel like this is a fair question. So if somebody comes into your office, let's say for you guys to interview, and they're thinking about hiring you, and they say, look, I went and heard somebody else speak, and they were really trying to convince me that an annuity is a good idea. What do you find yourself, and let's say that you've said you're not a big fan of annuities. It's not that often that you recommend them for your clientele. What do you see as good alternatives to annuities? If typically if somebody is kind of coming in saying, hey, what about this annuity thing? I heard about this, or my uncle has one, and they kind of come in talking to you about annuities. And when you find yourself thinking, okay, this is one of the majority of people that I don't think this is a great idea, what do you kind of see as good alternatives to annuities that you might normally sway somebody towards?
So, very good question. Actually, when somebody comes into my office and we're going to talk about different investment strategies and of course annuities, if they come in specifically to talk about annuity, I kind of like to start out with saying, "Hey, I'm looking for something like an insurance salesman,
Right.
and then I'm gonna sound like a financial advisor."
Okay.
An insurance salesman is going to use a lot of fear tactics. The market's scary, the economy's scary, they're always going to use some type of fear. Then there's a guarantee that helps you with that fear.
Okay.
I don't like that. I think that's
Okay.
the wrong. I don't appreciate that. I don't like that. I think if we properly educate ourselves on investment strategies, and this will answer your question, if we have balanced portfolios with the right expectations of what is normal with fluctuation.
Right.
What is a normal range of fluctuation? You first of all take someone's risk profile where you talk about fluctuation, what is normal. If those fluctuations are not comfortable, then you just choose a more conservative portfolio.
Okay.
And that more conservative portfolio might have more in fixed income, less in the stock market. With that being said, that means that you're going to have two things. One is your fluctuation is going to be lower. Your average return is going to be lower. And that's not a wrong answer to have a lower average return. The question will be will that average return sustain all of your spending goals that we talk about? So where you first begin with any financial plan is, what is your risk profile? How much money do you want to spend every year for the rest of your life? And then when you start to put all that in there, what are your sources of fixed income, Social Security, hopefully a pension, maybe not. And then it's how much money do you have? And what is the inflation rate on those spending goals? And will the average rate of growth satisfy all those spending needs? If you start to do all of this, maybe you don't need an annuity.
Okay.
So
there's kind of an analysis that you go through depending on the circumstances, which will yield the best options. And oftentimes annuity is not one of those best options. Would that be?
That's right. I mean, again, it's really if someone's fearful. I'm going to make it real simple too. A fixed annuity. What does that insurance company actually do with your money?
Right.
If you give them your money and they're going to give you a guaranteed interest rate or a guaranteed income stream, they're going to invest that money in the stock market.
Right.
In the same balanced portfolio that I would have you invest in.
Okay.
And what they're going to do is just pay you this much and keep this much.
Okay.
So it's, so I think proper education, finding out what your goals, your risk profiles, and proper education about how investments work, that alleviates the fear.
Okay. So let me ask you this, we're going to conclude here pretty soon. Is there anything, I've asked you some questions but is there anything regarding annuities that I haven't asked you, that you haven't mentioned, that you think it would be important for people to know? What are some aspects of annuities that we haven't brought up here yet?
Well, again, what can make annuities so confusing is when you have a meeting with someone, and you can talk about all of the fees, how it's structured, and do all the great full disclosure. Time happens. And what we know about time is we'll forget about 90% of the things that we talked about in an appointment.
Right.
So you have to review these annuities as if you're depositing money in it for the first time, right, maybe in a year from now.
Okay. Just
to refresh your memory on, how the fees are going to work on that annuity. What does that contract period look like? So in an annual review, it is a good idea to bring back some of those questions and revisit it again.
Okay.
So that's probably one of the things that I would have people do is if people are disappointed about their annuity, it's because they forgot.
Okay.
And
let me ask you this too. One more question. If I come to you and I have an annuity and I talk to you and then I determine that, gosh, I made a bad decision. I wish I didn't have this annuity. I really don't think that's what's best for me. And then I want to hire you to be my financial advisor. Is there anything that you can do with the annuity, to get around the penalty for withdrawal and so forth, or is that person just kind of stuck with it? What's the situation there?
Boy, that is a great question. I have a case right now as we speak where came to me, their money is in an annuity, and if they were to move that money out of that annuity, there'd be a big surrender charge or penalty. Well, we're not moving it.
Right.
Because it's just, I don't want to see people pay a big fee to exit out of that annuity. But what if you can access 10% of that contract without a fee? I would start, if the annuity was not appropriate and their money was in the annuity, I would at least start accessing that dollar amount.
Okay.
And then when it's past a surrender period, then I would consider moving the monies out of that annuity.
Got it.
But yeah, you've got to be very careful with these surrender and deciding that you don't want the annuity. I do want to mention this too. There is what I call walkaway money. In other words, the value of that annuity, and you get to ask for that dollar and walk away with it. Sometimes these annuities, I'll meet with people and say, well, Mike, I put in X amount of dollars and they gave me a big bonus right off the top.
Right.
And, the individual thinks that bonus is their money. No, it's not really their money. You can't call up the next day and go, hey, by the way, or the next year, or even 3 years down the road, and go, by the way, I've changed my mind. I want all of that money, even that bonus you gave me.
Okay.
No, it's not your money. It's
right.
It's I think presented wrong, but that dollar is there because it might help. It's there to help calculate an income base. It's an income base. It's going to help calculate an income stream.
Okay.
And so it's technically not money.
Okay.
You see.
All right. And so, Mike, you for many years you have officed in Bedford, correct?
Correct.
And you're in the process of shortly your office will be moving to Southlake.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just want to be closer to home.
Okay. But you have clients all over the metro area as well as the state, probably by now. So let everybody know here if they'd like to get in touch with you, have a conversation with you, how can they locate you?
Probably easiest just to call me. Phone number is 817-428-5426. Again, 817-428-5426. When I change my branch locations, my phones will stay the same.
Okay.
You could just Google search me at Edward Jones Investments, Michael Scoma. And I'm the only Michael Scoma with Edward Jones.
Okay. So it's Scoma, S-C-O-M-A. And good job remembering your phone number for your office, by the way, because my phone number is just office. I just push office on my cell phone, and that's what I know is my phone number. So good job remembering that. So if you guys also, we can also, if you ever want to call our office, we can get you Mike's info. But if you have any, if you just want to meet with a financial advisor, period, to talk about things, or if you have specific concerns relating to annuities and you're really interested in maybe Mike helping you out with that, please give him a call, guys, okay? But Mike, thanks so much for coming in today and great information. I know that clarified a lot for me about annuities, and we really appreciate it.
Well, Brandon, thanks for having me. I really enjoy educating. It's been one of the pillars of creating my business over the past 28 years. I always feel that education is key and very important.
Yeah, absolutely. That's how we feel as well. So thank you very much, and all you guys have a good day, okay?
Very good. Thank you.